years. And since we started to let the shakes incubate, we're across the board seeing at least twice as much weight loss in the same period of time. We just had a policeman, this was about a week ago, and he was, I'm going to say he was 230 or 240, so it wasn't 400 pounds. And in 11 days, he lost 29 pounds. So, I mean, something's going, we never saw those kind of numbers before. So what's critical is, ideally, if you can do 100 degrees, that's ideal. But if you do room temperature, okay, and take the lid off, let it incubate for the 40, 45 minutes, and then remix it, and then you can add ice or you can put it in the refrigerator tonight. So really good questions. And also understand something, let me clarify again. The non-dairy, don't incubate it, because this reaction doesn't happen. You only have this reaction when it's based on a whey protein, not based on it. Not that the non-dairy isn't okay, it certainly is. And it has a profile around 25%. You know, it's actually higher than the whey protein, but it's also way lower in the actual amino acids that are available for the body. And the other thing that, let me go back to the 2 documentaries that was so amazing. And I didn't know this. I didn't, I'm going to admit. So 1 gram of fat equals 9 calories. 1 gram of protein equals 4 calories, and 1 gram of carbohydrates is 4. And what's so amazing, people think you eat, they talk about this in the documentary, that you're consuming sugar or carbohydrates and that causes fat. Wrong. That's not true at all. And that's why I'm saying when you study these, you're going to understand really the science behind the genius that John Anderson was when he put this together. These are not like any shakes on planet Earth, well, especially when it comes to the Isoline or the Isoline Pro. And I think it's so important that you understand that the kind of results that, look, for 14 and a half years, I made it in cold water, and it changed my life and probably saved my life. All I'm saying, and I tell people this all the time, I'm not saying don't make it in cold water if you want to. I'm just telling you based on the research, which isn't even mine, it was done independently. I'd be kind of foolish not to listen to my colleague when he's telling me, that this is what's going on. So I'm really glad that people did start to take that advice, and they are, for the lack of a better term, baking their shakes or cooking their shakes or whatever you want to call it. And it just gives us such an advantage. And the other absolute key that they cover also is, and I've touched on this in my lectures before, there's a tremendous difference between orange juice and an orange. And the major difference is that orange in nature, there's pulp and fiber in there. And what that does when you consume it, because of the fiber that's in the shake, it drastically slows down the usage of that in your body. As opposed to when you drink a soda or something like that, it's instantaneously converted into sugar because there's no fiber, obviously, and typically it's high fructose corn syrup. It's not even cane sugar. So those are all, look, there's so many little nuggets. And look, I don't want to turn you into nerds like me. I just feel like we have such an advantage. And if you had this in your arsenal, I mean, I don't ever want to hear anybody tell me that someone did Shakeology instead of Isogenics. I mean, that's just ludicrous, okay? That's like, you didn't do your homework then. So knowing a little bit more, I really believe can make an enormous difference in my main goal, and that's to change the world. I know that was a long answer because that's just me. I can't help myself, but hopefully that answered the question and was helpful to everyone else as well.
Hey, Peter.
Yes. Hey, buddy.
I was at your presentation last time, and you may or may not have remembered my grandfather.
I absolutely remember your grandfather sitting right there, et cetera. And he was the one that said that he was skeptical to come, and he was glad he did or something. Am I right?
So that is one of the most stubborn old men that you will ever meet in your life. And he's going to sign up tomorrow. He was actually really bummed out that you weren't able to come, and he was like, he's going to sign up tomorrow on the special, and he's really, so I just want to say seriously from the bottom of my heart, thank you.
Well, that just, and I talk about that a lot in these lectures a lot of times, and you hear me start in the beginning, if there's one person in this room that I can make a difference, then it's worth it. And so that just, wow, that delights me to no end. And I'm just so glad that he was open enough at least to listen to me, and that the words moved him to do that, because his life can be so drastically different in a really short period of time, So thanks
I
for
sure
that.
hope so.
Yep. Thanks, Brian. Appreciate that. Anybody else?
I have a question
Sure.
about the cooking. How
Yes.
long do they last for if you do put them in the fridge? Can they last the time frame before the enzymes start breaking themselves back down?
No, the enzymes they're gone at the end of 45 minutes. But they keep, I'm sorry, they're not totally gone. They keep working. You could do 10 or 12 hours. You know, I would say normally though that if you do it at night. So to come see you guys, I got up at 3 o'clock in the morning to catch a plane. Well, that's a long story anyway. It didn't happen. But so I made my shake the night before, incubated, put it in the refrigerator. I went to bed at like 7:30, so it was like 6 to 7 hours, and then I drank it before I left. So, but you can go longer. I mean, if you made it at, you know, even 8 or 9 o'clock at night, you didn't drink it the next day until, you know, 10 o'clock, or you'd be fine. You know, you just and leaving it out in the incubation process, easily you can go a couple hours. I mean, that's what I do with my athletes, and I talked about that in my last talk, that if you're an athlete, you want to make your shake in warm water, mix it, let it incubate, and even if you work out for an hour and a half, the key is you want to remix it and drink it in no more than 5 minutes after you're done working out. Why? Because your muscles are screaming for those amino acids. And in 10 minutes, they're less effective, 15, 20. They're still effective, but the sooner you can do it, I've got pro athletes now that actually, if they're like cooling down on the treadmill, that's when they'll actually drink their shake right then and there, even before the end of their cool down period is. I hope that answers your question.
Hey, real quick, I know a lot of us are talking about, you know, protein in our shakes and things like that, but let me, is there a difference in our shakes versus other shakes mineral-wise?
Yeah, they have none. We have 70.
Exactly. That's
And
what
it says also in the label, don't be fooled, it'll say, it says ionic alfalfa. And they actually did that for regulatory reasons, because they'll only list like 25 or 30 minerals on the label, but the balance of them are in the organic alfalfa, or the ionic alfalfa, I'm sorry. So those minerals are actually in there. And just a short piece on minerals. Minerals are the spark plugs of life. They also are the cofactor for all your enzyme reactions. So they're like a supercharger for the enzyme. So it really becomes critical that and you know, I get really crazy when people talk about, you know, it's processed. They have no damn idea what they're talking about. What John Anderson basically did is he engineered it by adding in what you just can't get in food. So even for my great vegan friends, great, except you have to understand that vegetables in general are much higher in carbohydrates and much lower as a percentage. They have all 20 amino acids, but there's less of them by volume in you know, vegetables. And I'm not saying, yes, we definitely need vegetables, but people that only do that, it's the old rule. It's all about balance. You need fats, you need proteins, and you need carbs. That's one of the downfalls, say, of a keto diet that's focusing only on fat. You're not getting, you're missing out. You're absolutely missing out. No question about it. Anybody else?
I have one question.
Yeah.
I'm type 1 diabetic, and we've gotten into kind of the questions of breaking your cleanse. So if you're cleansing for 20 hours, but then if you have a snack, or, you know, we always try to say break it with a shake, so that way you're replenishing it with the proper nutrients, etc. So there's times where I've run into like low blood sugar, so I'll have to have some quick juice to get my blood sugars back up.
Absolutely, yes.
Would that be considered breaking the cleanse because I didn't properly refill it?
Yeah.
Like I didn't know what the ratio is there.
Well, let me just tell you. So on a cleanse day, which isn't really a cleanse, it's intermittent nutritional fasting. Let's be clear, okay? So what you do, all you would have to do if you took a bite of a piece of toast or an English muffin, you stop detoxing. Because what happens is your body will always default to sugar first, but not long term. We're not meant to burn sugar all the time. We're meant to burn fat. That's the whole key to this thing, okay? And what happens, and the reason it's 48 hours, it has a lot more to do actually with addiction than anything else. So if you weren't at my lecture, I assume, correct? Okay, so are you familiar? If not, I'm going to make you familiar. So in our brain, we have what are called neurotransmitters, and two of them in particular are responsible for about 85 to 90% of all of our emotions, okay? One's called serotonin, that's a neurotransmitter, and the other one's called dopamine, okay? Now watch this. So serotonin would be released if you like hug a child or a puppy, you get that really good feeling, okay? That's a normal thing. Dopamine, on the other hand, is really a lot more substantial. What dopamine does, it's the pleasure neurotransmitter. It gives us the ability to concentrate, and it also is problem solving in our brain. So children, for example, that are diagnosed with ADD, just like someone with Parkinson's disease, has low dopamine, okay? And what happens is that, as I said, and by the way, that was from the Harvard study where they proved that sugar is 8 times more addictive than cocaine. The reason it has to be 48 hours, I don't want to use have to, should be 48 hours is, in alcoholism, they talk about when they're breaking addiction, they have to be alcohol-free for 48 hours before they can even go to an AA meeting. Now, why is that? Because what happens in the brain, dopamine in particular, what happens, the brain makes the neurotransmitter and it goes into, you can see my hand, it enters, it's called a receptor. A simple way, think about plugging your computer into the wall. So the body produces the dopamine, it goes into that receptor site, and now we feel good. But we're not supposed to feel good all the time, okay? We're not happy, happy, happy. That's manic. Now you're into schizophrenia and all kinds of great. So, but what happens, because, by the way, every addiction known to man except for smoking is caused by dopamine. Because heroin, cocaine, what do? They stimulate dopamine. But in our world, because we have so much sugar in it and so many carbohydrates, that those dopamine receptor sites, literally, they get so overstimulated, they become numb. So now what do you need? You need more sugar. You need more heroin. You need more cocaine. You need more whatever. So the key is, in that first 24 hours, believe it or not, and also this is something I didn't know, that alcoholism, more people die from alcohol withdrawal than from heroin or any other drug. It's the most dangerous detox that there is. And what happens in that first 24 hours, in about 8 to 9 hours, all the alcohol's gone from your system. But then it takes about another 10, 12, so 18 to 20 hours where you've burned off all the sugar. In the second 24 hours, this is why it's so critical. In that second 24 hours, what the brain's doing, it's not overstimulated. So now all of a sudden what happens? That receptor site begins to open. So when you have a shake, for example, on the 5th morning, the reason that people say almost 100%, I lost all my cravings. Yeah, you just did withdrawal from drugs. You just drew from, now it could be coffee. I mean, they all work the same way in the brain, okay? It's the stimulation of dopamine. And see, nature was so smart. It made food pleasurable or we'd starve to death, okay? The same thing with, reproductions of men and women. If sex wasn't pleasurable, the species wouldn't exist. So that dopamine is so critically important in our brain. And if you just get the concepts, at the end of 24 hours, that receptor site begins to open again. So now with a little bit of sugar, wow, I feel great. That's how the cravings go away. Now, in your case as a diabetic, absolutely 100%, you're doing it correctly. What I would say, what you might want to try is when you're getting to that point where you got really low blood sugar, it's starting to happen, load up on snacks. You can have 10, 12, I don't care, because you're still going to be way better. Not that your backfall shouldn't be orange juice or apple juice, as you know, as a type 1. And the thing that can happen is, once you make it through that 48 hours, I mean, you're going to probably feel like Superwoman because your body is experiencing life without the drug called sugar. And in your case, as a diabetic, obviously you have trouble processing the sugar. That's why it's called high blood sugar. But the other part of that, think what it's doing to stimulate those receptor sites are numb. And we want to get them back open. And that's why also people don't understand. And this is a huge takeaway. And that's this. Anybody that asks me the question, do I have to do this for the rest of my life? They don't understand addiction. I mean, I'll fess up. There's no way in hell I can eat one Lay's potato chip. I mean, one. It's like, when people quit smoking, you can't smoke 2 cigarettes a day. If you're going to be, if you're going to not be an alcoholic anymore, you got to go through at least that first 48 hours and then even probably beyond. We're all in the same boat. And like I said, when you watch those 2 documentaries, it's going to back up everything I'm telling you. Only they have no solution. I've never heard anyone else, I'm bragging now, but again, it ain't bragging if you can back it up. Have any of you ever on Weight Watchers or Jenny Craig or Nutrisystem or Oprah or any TV ever heard them talk about addiction? That the biggest drug dealers, pushers in the world are the food companies. And they've created food engineers they've figured out exactly the right amount of salt, sugar, and fat. Because, when we went to fat-free, this is crazy. We took the fat out, okay, fat-free sounded really good, but the stuff tasted like cardboard. No one would eat it. So what they add? Sugar. See, that's what I'm saying is they've got all these crazy out of balance things. No, we need a balance. We need things to be in harmony. And that's why it's so important. At least I believe that at least you make yourself available to this information, not to become Peter Greenlaw nerd like I am. I'm okay. I'm proud to be a nerd. So you guys don't have to read the 500 books I did and spend all the hours in research and things like that. And now, I couldn't have imagined 16 years ago seeing a documentary like I just watched those two, and they're both, one's, I think it was 2015 and the other one's, 2016. But you understand, there's no awareness. People aren't aware of this. They're still doing Nutrisystem and Jenny Craig and Weight Watchers and South Beach diet, and they're rearranging the deck chairs on the Titanic. And at the end, the conclusion is the people gain all their weight back. Do you know drinking well, you wouldn't do this because I'm sure you drink diet, but for the rest of us, if you drink a 20-ounce soda, you need to ride a bicycle for an hour and a half. One cookie is like 45 minutes. So that's why exercise is great for cardiovascular, but they even say it is not a strategy for losing and keeping weight off. Again, I know that was a really long answer, but hopefully that will help you to understand what I think might be possible for you. One day is still better than none, trust me. But again, if you see that low number in your blood sugar, yes, you have to do that. But yes, you're breaking the detox because you're giving your body back the substance that your body was trying to get rid of. So what's going to happen to your dopamine receptor site? It's going to stay numb.
Thank you.
Okay. Anyone else?
Anybody else got some questions for Mr. Greenlaw?
So yeah, actually, just one more question.
Sure.
So you said, and this is for my grandfather, when he starts doing his cleanse, that he just needs to load up on snacks because he's a diabetic as well.
Absolutely. And also what I would do on the first day is, I should have told her that as well. What I recommend first time in diabetics, instead of having them drink 8 ounces of a shake, still incubate it and do all that kind of stuff, but do 4 ounces, like half a shake, and wait 30 or 40 minutes. At least his first couple days, because what we've seen, there are instances where you can see an insulin spike, and you can really prevent that by simply not doing. Now, normally after his 2 days of detox, and then he goes back on 5 days of shake, then normally it's okay. But the first couple days with diabetics, that's what I do, and absolutely have them load up on snacks. 6 is typically not enough.
I have a question.
So you're saying the optimal number for a day worth, sorry, Monica, for a day worth is at least 10?
Yeah, exactly. And that's going to be more important, obviously, on a detox day versus a shake day.
And to be clear, we're talking about ice snacks, yes?
Ice snacks, yes, absolutely. Okay. I'm not against the wafers, but they don't have the same chemical makeup as the snack. Has something in it, again, my nerdiness, called chromium picolinate, which has absolutely been proven to balance blood sugar. So I wish they wouldn't call them snacks. They're really mini meals, but again, they're engineered in a way specifically because it's not just diabetics. The main reason people get hungry is a drop in blood sugar. So when people are detoxing, it's really important. Those snacks are not optional.
For everyone, or for a diabetic?
Well, a normal person, you can do 6, yeah. But a diabetic, definitely 10 or even 12, because they need to be monitored. And also, definitely as a diabetic, I want them to monitor their blood sugar 3 times a day, not just morning and night. Because typically you can see such a drastic drop in blood sugar that, again, if you don't know it, then you're gonna get all kinds of bad things happen with the low number. Okay.
Okay, and then you said that's like, I don't typically use snacks. I just use cleanse and water. Is that something I shouldn't be doing?
Remember, it's a system. He designed it. It's like, you know, if you got a car and 3 of your tires have air and 1 doesn't, you can still drive it, but it's not as efficient. That's the thing people have to get. This is a system, okay? That's what differentiates from Nutrisystem or any of these other things out there that are, you know, Shakeology, whatever. I can't remember some of the names of some of the other companies, but that's the big advantage that we have, is that we're able to. And now with this piece about addiction, see, none of them can do that. They're lowering your calories, but they've still, and then they use artificial sweeteners, which are even worse, okay? Worse.
Thank you.
Anyway, yeah, ma'am, you were going to ask me a question. I didn't get a chance to answer it for you. Go ahead. The lady in the blue dress.
Who was it, me? I'm sorry, I don't want to step
You're
on
up.
anybody's
Yes,
toes.
you're up.
Okay, great. So you made a really good comment about Shakeology, and I know, do you mind muting? We're doubling up, sorry. So there's so many different programs, as you said, and shakes out there, and I don't know about everybody else, but it would be great for us to hear you kind of brag about Isogenics and why it's different from other products, because a lot of the questions that we get is, you know, well, what's the difference between Shakeology? What about Premier Protein? And I know that's a big topic, but the other question also is, what about the sugars? You know, a lot of people who have no clue what they're talking about look at the back of it and say, it's too much sugar, you know, and
you know, affectionately, they're total idiots. Okay. So from a scientific
well, yes, but
point of view, the major difference is if you look at other, well, let's just go through the basics. Okay. Number one, you do have 70 minerals. You don't have that in any other shake, period. End of the story. But one of the most important overlooked things that's within the isogenic shakes are the 8 grams of fiber. Okay. That 8 grams of fiber equates to the fiber, let's say, in an orange, okay? And by the way, the amount of sugar in the shake is, and that's if you don't incubate it, is the equivalent to about a half an apple. Now, we certainly don't object to too much sugar in an apple, but that's how idiotic these arguments are, because they're being led by the media that they don't have a clue, right? I mean, it's not working. I mean, they keep festering the same thing upon us. So why is that? Why it's called prebiotic fiber, by the way, not probiotic, nothing wrong with probiotics, but prebiotic. One of the things that's so significant about it is it makes more good gut flora. It absolutely manifests the colonization of more gut flora. And that fiber absolutely modulates the release of sugar or glucose, because what you want to guard against is an insulin spike. And here's where people get confused. There's something called the glycemic index, and there's something else called the glycemic load. And the glycemic load is more, okay, I'm taking this sugar in, am I getting an insulin spike? And the answer is absolutely unequivocally no. Now, if you removed the fiber from the isogenic shake, now you'd have a problem. My diabetic friend that was just on a minute ago, woo, much different reaction, okay? Much different. So the first part is that they have to understand, I always go to nature. An apple is completely different than apple juice. An orange is completely different than orange juice. A grapefruit is completely different than grapefruit juice, okay? And what they've done in those juices, they've removed the fiber and they've removed it. And you watch in this documentary, they'll come on and say, you drink orange juice, you might as well drink a Coke, because there's so much sugar and there's nothing to modulate it. There's nothing to control it, okay? But here's the game changer. The game changer is there are 3 groups of enzymes in our shake that are not in any other shake that I've seen. The only one that could be in another shake would be lactase for people that have lactose intolerant. Maybe they would have that. I doubt it. But the second one is called lipase. And what does lipase do? Lipase is responsible for the metabolism of fat in our body. So it's part of why people are losing so many inches, etc. But the third group that's on the label, you look at Isolene Pro, you'll see it, they're called proteases, Proteases, okay? Now again, I would urge you, and Adam, if I haven't sent this to you, in my book, in all my books, but this book in particular, Your Third Brain, we do a whole breakdown of amino acids, whatever, and we give you the recipe to create the world's greatest shake without mentioning isogenics. And the reason that we do that is we don't want people, and we had to be careful in our book with our publisher, he didn't want any commercialization. So we listed these ingredients and said, if you want to create the world's greatest shake, or you want to put the best things in your body, these are the ingredients you need, and this is why. Now, the proteases in particular, why are they so critical? Because their job is to extract amino acids from the whey protein shake. And again, if you make it in cold water, you drink it in 5 minutes, they're completely inert. They're only activated in the warm water, mixed, let it sit for the 45 minutes, and then remix it. And what those proteases do is, for example, Shakeology, it's what's called net protein utilization. Simple again. Imagine 100 grams of Shakeology. How many human proteins, what percentage does it make? It's about 10%. So out of 100 grams of their shake, you're only making 10 human protein. In our shake, when you let it incubate, it goes from, ours is 15 grams out of 100, but it goes to 90 grams. I mean, in case of Shakeology, that'd be almost 9 times more human protein. And we're made of protein. We have 22,000 genes, we have 22,000 proteins. The only way the body makes a protein is with an amino acid. So do you want 10% of the aminos, or do you think 90 would be better? There's no argument. I mean, this is what I'm saying. It frustrates me so much because this stuff is relatively simple. And Adam, if I didn't send it to you, I will send you this, I think it's a 4 or 5 page document that I created. Just send me an email so I won't forget after this call. How to create the world's greatest shake. I don't mention isogenics, but again, if you're smart, use it as scientific research and say, these, from some of the greatest minds in the world, have determined these are the elements that you want to be putting in your body. And then let them go and look at their Shakeology shake, and they'll see that none of them are in there. It's not even a matter of discrediting them. You're complaining. You're trying to compare a glider to a stealth bomber. I mean, it's not. You're not even in the same zip code. So does that help?
Hey, Peter.
Yes, sir. Hey, Hope, how are you?
Good. How are you, sir? Thanks for
Awesome.
coming on tonight. Missed you last night. Thank you so much.
Well, I'll be there again soon. I'm doing them in my nerdy environment here.
Quick question.
Sure.
I get asked this a lot, and I may be misinforming people, but since we have you, IsaPro, not Isoline Pro, but IsaPro and Tri-Release. We don't incubate those, do we?
No, because as a matter of fact, IsaPro, I think there's only one that even has the protease enzymes in there.
Right.
People ask me about mixing IsaPro with Isoline. No. Just do the Isoline Pro. That is the perfect balance. Don't try to become a nutraceutical chemist, okay? I mean, that combination, and what Dr. Ruggiero, his analysis was done only on the Isoline Pro.
Okay.
Isoline has it, but there was no point in doing it because he knew that it would go to 90% because it has the proteases. But you already got 24 grams of protein instead of 36. And if you look at the amount of sugar as a percentage of how much protein, it's way higher in the Isoline. So right away on the argument, not the argument, for the lady in the blue that I just talked to, when you look at the amount of sugar in relationship to how much protein in the Isoline Pro, again, that completely debunks the argument, along with, as I was saying to you, that when you let it incubate, you're also reducing the sugar by another 20%. And if you understand why that prebiotic fiber is in there, it's the fiber in an orange. It's the fiber in an apple. You know, we don't even have to argue with people. They don't have it. Do you see what I'm saying? It's an unfair, I mean, they want to get into that argument with me, they're going to lose.
So what about taking a seasonal shake that they only offer an Isoline, and often people take the vanilla or the chocolate and add a scoop. They say 1.5 scoops. When I say they, I hate that word, they.
Right.
But the rumor is that you take a 1.5 scoops of Isoline, like say a seasonal shake, and then you take a scoop of vanilla or chocolate to bring it up to Isoline Pro.
It's probably okay. My gut is it's not the same.
Okay.
There'd
And
be
then-
value. You still could incubate it. I just, you know, I mean, Dr. Ruggiero is such a stickler for, no, it has to be this, you know what I'm saying? And so, you know, I mean, he's published over 225 peer-reviewed papers and worked with 2 Nobel laureates. That's good enough for me.
Yes,
Right?
and the reason why I tell people not to incubate your Isa Pro is because it's a longer digestive protein, and you want it to.
And like I said, I think it probably the vanilla doesn't have any. If it doesn't have proteases in it, there's no point in
Doesn't
incubating.
matter.
Doesn't matter.
Okay.
Without those,
I just wanted to be clear because
without those proteases, you could let Shakeology sit for a week. It'd still be 10% net protein utilization. Make sure you get that point. It's not a matter that when he did a test on 20 different shakes, not just isogenics. He went to Whole Foods, he went to Trader Joe's, he bought like 20, and he ran the experiment. And 19 out of 20, when he made them in warm water and let them sit, their number didn't change by 1 percentage point. None. Zero. Why? Because it didn't have the proteases. So I'll send out, if Adam, if you want me to do that, I'm happy to. I'll send out that, how to create the world's greatest shake. And everybody don't freak out. It won't mention isogenics, but it's your ammo. Trust me, it is your ammo.
Yeah, man. I just send it to my email.
Okay.
I'll
Get
send
it
you
to
a
the team.
reminder about it.
Right. Who else? See, you guys got me to do a seminar anyway.
Can I do one more question then?
Absolutely. Go ahead.
I get asked this every day too. Cleansing while working out, like lifting wise or fasted cardio, what's recommended? And
their first 11 days, I normally would like them to do half the repetitions and half the time and half the weight. Normally after they've done 1 or 2 intermittent nutritional fasts, like for example, myself, I've absolutely worked out on days 1 and 2, but I've been doing it for 16 years. So, everybody, and normally if you're going to do that, you probably are definitely going to need more snacks. Absolutely, unequivocally, and just, know your own body, because remember, it takes tremendous amount of energy within the human body to detox us. Okay. Did you know, for example, when you eat food, that it takes about 80% of your energy to digest food? So, and now if you're really on an intermittent nutritional fasting day, woo, you've turned it's not that you can't do it and listen to your body. In my case, I'd be taking snacks while I'm working out in my workouts whenever I get a chance to see my trainer. He really thinks I'm a ghost.
One follow-up.
Yes, sir.
What about muscle atrophy?
Again, by allowing the shakes to incubate, if the reverse will be true.
Okay.
Even if you lost some on a detox day, the point is that those shakes, it's cumulative. And when you start giving your body 90% of those aminos a couple times a day, whoo, everything changes.
And is it true that when you're cleansing, you improve your HGH production?
Not only that, in an original study that they don't publish anymore, that was based on, believe it or not, 9 days, the men that went in this, there were 100 people that did it, isogenics did it. On average, they were increasing their HGH, but more importantly, their testosterone by 25% in just 9 days. So again, testosterone is obviously really important in terms of performance and things like that. But yeah, the HGH also, as you know, the only time you produce HGH is when you're sleeping.
Mm-hmm.
So this can facilitate the production of HGH, when you're, see, that's the point. I think the whole thing of my thing tonight is that people, I got 4 questions now. What if you didn't know? What you think you know? When would you want to know? But here's the bigger one. Like when someone talks about Shakeology, why wouldn't you want to know that there really is something that's like way better? You know what I'm saying? And so as we begin to discover this and then disseminate this information to other people, but the proof of the pudding at the end of the day is the results. That's the only thing that matters. And we're getting results that none of those people, plus you have 3 clinical studies proving removing adipose fat tissue, visceral fat, and the one where they, using isogenesis, where they increase catalase, which is a measurement on your skin of your immune system. So I just think that I don't want to turn you into nerds like me. However, I think that some of this information, if you were grounded in it, would really help you, because I really feel sorry for people that are doing Shakeology or Nutrisystem or any of the other stuff. It just, at best, they're around 10% net protein utilization. No fiber, no minerals. It's a whole different kind of thing. Okay? Hope it good. Somebody else wanted to ask me, I think, too, didn't they?
Does it matter what type of snacks you're using dairy-free or the dairy ones?
No, not really, because they both have chromium picolinate in them, and that's one of the things that you want. And believe me, I'm not against the non-dairy, but you've got to understand that I just had a call from a lady just yesterday, and she said, I was unable to consume the Isoline Pro until I started to incubate it. She said I was freaked out that a day, 2 days, 3 days. And she said, now it's been 5 or 6 days. I've had no negative reaction to the whey protein. I said, well, remember, there's almost no whey protein left. When you let it incubate for the 45 minutes, for the most part, the whey protein is gone because you're drinking 95% amino acids. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Good.
I have another question. I've had
Sure, go ahead.
some people in the past who've used the products, like when they first started out, and they might have been constipated. Is there anything with incubating the shakes that would help with that?
Yeah, it definitely could, but also typically constipation, believe it or not, is dehydration. It's the main culprit of constipation is dehydration. And what's happening when you're doing the detox days, you're killing off, because most people are overweight, but 95% of them have something called candida, which is a yeast overgrowth in the body, but in the intestines. And you're killing off those guys so fast that sometimes that can be one of the major culprits of constipation. And they just kind of work through it. Now, the best thing to take, this is from a gastroenterologist, not from me, if someone is constipated, is something called magnesium citrate. Magnesium citrate. You don't need a prescription. You can get it in a drugstore. And normally I tell them drink like a quarter of the bottle at most, and then make sure you're near a bathroom. And they could do more than that, but start out with a little, and then if it doesn't work within an hour, then do maybe a quarter more. And it won't hurt you. It's all natural. It's not a laxative. It works by hydrating the colon, and it's just got wonderful properties. And I've seen people that were been constipated their whole life and incorporated this in, and then after they do more detox, their constipation goes away. Okay.
And one last question.
Sure.
Race to maintenance. Can you explain that?
Yeah, that's something that myself and actually Dr. Dennis Harper, who was one of the early on, he was head of the medical advisory board. And one of his complaints was that he hated rapid weight loss, having come and looked at diets, because they're very detrimental. So he sort of taught me, and we put together, so the race to maintenance is like this. So you start with 2 days, your shake meal shake, then 2 days of intermittent nutritional fasting. Keep in mind, everyone, that's what this is, okay? It's not a cleanse, it's intermittent nutritional fasting. That's exactly what it is. Then 5 days shake meal shake, and then 2 days intermittent nutritional fasting. Here's where it changes. On day 12, they do 5 days of shake, lunch, dinner, shake for 5 days. We call those feast, F-E-A-S-T days, feast days. Then 2 days of intermittent nutritional fasting. And then from that point forward, it's two meals and 2 shakes. 2 reasons. One, because after that first 11 days, you do need to increase your caloric intake, or else actually it's detrimental. You'll actually lose less weight, okay? The second thing is, it's even more significant though, is from a compliance standpoint of view, with the people being able to do it, they're now having dinner with their family, significant other, et cetera. It's a major psychological change for people, because I've worked with people that weigh 400 pounds that did back-to-back 2 days every single week for nearly 2 years. And that was how they were able to do it, because after that first 11 days, they were having a shake, a lunch, a dinner, and a shake. So now it was dinner with. Now, if someone gets stuck, then you can put them on 5 days of shake meal shake again. But ideally, in the long run, if you're going to have people do this for 30, 60, 90, 120 days, they need to be having 2 meals, okay? There's no doubt about it, because it actually will slow your metabolism down. They proved that on The Biggest Loser, by the way. So they put those people on 600 calories, they worked them out 10 hours a day, and yeah, they lost 150, 60 pounds, whatever. But the New York Times did an article on what happened is they gained back all their weight more. What they did, they slowed down metabolism measure in our body called, I'll think of it in a second, but basically it's the rate at which you burn calories at rest. Like when we're sleeping or you're sitting in a chair now, you're not in the gym. It's called the basal metabolic rate. And they proved that those people on average had reduced the amount of calories that they could burn by around 25% per day. So instead of being able to burn 2,000 calories, they were only burning 1,500. And that's why they gained all the weight back, despite not going back to their old habits and eating as much, So they actually did a disservice to their bodies. And, I think it's criminal what they did on that show, but that's my opinion.
And how many calories per those 2 meals?
400 to 600.
For each meal, I'm assuming, yeah.
Yep, absolutely. Yep. And you'll get way better results, way better. Anyone else?
I have one more question. Sorry.
Sure, go ahead. Don't
Somebody,
be sorry. It's great.
if
You're
somebody-
making me feel less guilty about not being able to get there, Leslie.
if somebody's doing intermittent fasting, like on a shake day, can they kind of still follow the same type of window? Like they have like an 8-hour window, they just kind of have their shakes?
No, I don't at all believe in that.
Okay.
You're either doing intermittent nutritional fasting or you're not. That's why intermittent fasting, which is non-nutritionally supported. And it's had great results with diabetics and also people with epilepsy. But you have to understand the way the body works. After 24 hours, you're out of sugar. You've only got 2 things left, muscle and fat. And your body 100% will turn the muscle into carbohydrates. It'll actually break your muscles down and convert them into carbohydrates. That's why intermittent nutritional fasting, which is technically you could say that it's nutritionally supported intermittent fasting. That's another way to say it if you want to. But you don't need to do that. I mean, because you're doing you're doing intermittent nutritional fasting for 48 hours. And your body's so supported, it's not going into starvation. Big difference. Anyone else?
I have a question.
Sure.
At the beginning, you mentioned that the gentleman who started the whole incubating was doing it for oncology patients.
Yes.
I work at a doctor's office that actually has oncology patients in it.
Mm-hmm.
So did he see benefits with the patient or people who are using this product with their cancer and their chemo treatments and stuff like that?
Get our book, Your Third Brain, and read it, and it'll help you understand what he did. They published a study in The Lancet, which is one of the biggest medical journals in the world, and it was done in Italy, I believe. And they took 40 oncology patients, all stage 4. 6 to 8 months was their their projections. And the first one, he put them on a really clean diet. And on the second one, he put them on basically a 20% carbs, 60% protein, 20% good fats. The problem with that was that, and you probably know this, that the last thing in the world you want a cancer patient to do is actually to lose weight. And they have terrible trouble eating enough so that they don't waste. I lost my brother to kidney cancer 6 years ago, 6'4". When he died, he weighed about 110 pounds. And so the reason that he went to this was because they couldn't eat 2 steaks. They couldn't eat 3 chickens. So how were they going to get enough protein to support their lean muscle mass? Well, in the first group, no one lived more than 8 months. In the second group, now he did some other things. There were a vitamin C intravenous, 100,000 units a day. There were a bunch of other things, but he did that with the other group too. The only thing he changed was the diets, okay?
Oh,
and in the diet where he put them on this, 80% of the patients are still alive 6 years later. So, and he was using a shake from Switzerland, let me be clear, an undenatured whey protein from Switzerland. So when he saw our shake, the reason he did the analysis was, my God, if I can give these patients 90% of the aminos, it's just going to be, that much better. So that's the only, but if you read our book, we do a whole breakdown on the aminos and we talk about net protein utilization, et cetera, et cetera. But there are other things that you need to add when it's a cancer patient beyond, on top of isogenics. Okay? Anyone else?
I've got another one. Peter,
Sure.
back to what you were saying about, so 11 days and then on day 12 going shake, meal, shake.
Right, feast day.
Feasting, yep. So you
Feast.
would do that then for 5 days and do 2 more
Yes.
of the detox?
Yeah, it's 30 days of that. That's the minimum. The race to maintenance for us is a minimum of 30 days. The reason it's called the race to maintenance, when I've got someone that needs to lose 50, 60, 70 pounds, they're not done at the end of 30 days. And also it sets up psychologically in their mind, it's the race to maintenance. Okay, now what do I do? So, and again, our goal here is long-term consumption. Our goal here is to let people know, no, you don't just do this for 30 days or 60 days or 90 days. This becomes part of your life when you're eating a credit card per day.
Mm-hmm.
And we have a clinical study proving we're removing plastics from the body.
It's huge. Would you ever then at that point go back to shake, meal, shake?
Yes. If they, for example, say they hit a plateau, then
Perfect.
go 5 days shake, meal, shake. So just mix it up a little bit.
Got
But-
it. That's perfect. Thank you.
Yeah. But it's much easier for them to do it, as you can imagine, when you can have dinner with your family or your significant other, or you go out for a business dinner. It's not some weird thing where you're drinking a shake and they're having dinner. You still want to be responsible with the 400 to 600 calories. So it's not pizza and, you know, it's the normal stuff we do anyway. Okay. Anybody else?
Yeah. What about somebody like, let's say my girlfriend, for instance, she's 5 foot tall. So
Yes.
you're saying 400 to 600 calorie meals and 2 shakes, putting her at roughly about 1,600 calories. That's going to be she's still going to lose weight at 1,600 calories at 5 foot tall.
Yes. Because again, you don't want to put her into, fuel deprivation, because in fuel deprivation, she'll store fat. I got a lot of 5-footers doing this, trust me. And the inches too, that's the other part of it. So hopefully after 16 years, I know a little bit, and nothing's 100%. So tell her, don't get mad at me. If it doesn't work, then go back to shake, meal, shake, or every other, then alternate shake, meal, shake with shake, meal, meal, shake. You can alternate back and forth. Okay. If you
Gotcha.
Anyone else? So much for a 10-minute call.
Yeah, I have a question.
Yes, go ahead.
Now that you said the shake, meal, shake, after a while can be detrimental to the body because it slows the metabolism.
Yes, 100%.
How
Go ahead.
how quickly can that happen? Because, for instance, my wife has been doing the system for 2 weeks now, and it seems that she's hit a plateau. So should she try the race to maintenance?
100%. 100%. She's not getting enough calories. I can tell you that right away. I know that sounds counterintuitive, but trust me, that's the deal.
Hi, I'm wife.
Go ahead.
But yeah, I've kind of hit a plateau like the last couple of days where I started getting kind of super frustrated. So it's really helpful that I heard that there's something else that I can do versus just try to push myself harder in the gym kind of thing.
No,
so I appreciate that point.
Especially if you're pushing yourself harder in the gym, then it's critical you have that second meal. Critical. It's not up for debate. Okay. Because you're expending even more energy in the gym, and it won't work. Your body will go to it'll reset your basal metabolic rate, which is the rate at which you burn calories when you're not working out. The other trick is do not go near the damn scale until after a 48-hour. Never measure in between. You could gain 3 or 4 pounds just from water when you go back on shakes. It's a big mistake everybody make. It's a diet mentality that's drilled into all of our brains, including me originally. So we emphasize only weigh after 48 hours. The rest of it doesn't mean a damn thing.
That's
so
really helpful.
That can be frustrating you, okay?
Yeah.
And I like to unfrustrate people. Anyone else?
Hi, Peter.
Hey, how are you?
Good, how are you? So, hey, you mentioned last time that the casein was basically
gotten
rid of after cooking the shake?
Yes.
So how much lactose is left?
Very little. I mean, almost none. Okay. Now, people could still, depending on their sensitivity, okay? Because keep in mind, nothing's 100%. But I've seen so many with lactose intolerance, the minute that they bake the shakes, boom, no problem whatsoever.
Okay. That's exactly what I wanted to hear. Thank you.
Cool. All right. No worries.
Peace.
Who else? God, I can see it's dark where you guys are. Hell, the sun's still out here in the Rocky Mountains.
I have a quick question about coaching new people through their first 11 days. I have somebody who just started and she's getting real migraines. It's not just, oh, I'm hungry, this is too hard with just the snacks, but she's had 3 days of shakes and she's getting terrible migraines and sick.
Okay,
so,
well then number one.
In terms of snacks, what would you advise?
Yeah, I'd probably do more of those snacks, but I'd probably, in her case, believe it or not, I'd probably put her on 2 meals right away. It could be that she's not getting enough calories. It really could be. And again, headaches, 99.9% of the time, even migraines, are dehydration. And what she should do the minute it starts, drink 8 to 10 ounces of water. Don't let it get worse. The minute it starts, boom, drink it. The other thing is the only analgesic that I recommend is Anacin, ANACIN, because I always tell people, look, suffering's optional. You can get it at the drugstore. It's better than regular aspirin. And if she's in that much pain, because suffering is really optional, she definitely could have an Anacin, and that might help her as well. And what'll happen is probably as she goes a little bit farther, her body will begin to adjust, and she probably won't have such a. But the other thing she has to understand, if she's having that reaction, that's how toxic she is.
Right, and we talked about that, and she understands, and she wants to do this, so she's in it and she's dedicated.
Anacin.
So following up with the 2 meals, would you just still recommend to do as snacks the isogenic snack wafers, or do you ever recommend people to have like 100 to 150 calorie like whole food snack?
Not usually. I'd much rather have them do the snacks.
Okay. Okay. Great. Thank you.
Maybe she's going to need more. She may need more than 6. Whatever it's going to be. And again, let me caution you, nothing's 100%, nothing. So, there can always be outliers in these deals, right? Super. Who else?
Thank you.
No question here, Peter, but this is Julie Searle, my husband, Sean Searle.
Yes.
And he was selected recently as the one of the honorable mentions for the Isobody, and he credits you for that because
wow.
when I met you,
I didn't do anything. I love it. That's great. It's very, very nice to hear that.
Yeah, October 2017, we went to Ocean City and we met you, and he heard you say, "I fix NFL players."
Right.
And you'll see in his before picture that his shoulders are all rolled forward, and that's is upright that he could stand because he had he was actually medically discharged from the Marine Corps in 1993. And within a month of doing ionics 3 times a day and starting to cleanse, he was able to start lifting his shoulders. He's got full mobility in that shoulder for the first time since 1993.
That's
which
why
allowed him to start building muscle.
That's why people just have to understand that this isn't a diet. This is a way of life, and it in many people, it can have these life-changing results that in 16 years, I've been blessed to see this so many times over and over and over and over again. And it just makes sense. When you give the body everything that used to be in food, your body's just going to work better. It's not even a miracle. The miracle is that John Anderson figured out how to really engineer these shakes, not process them, but engineer them in a way to add these things in, the minerals, the prebiotic fiber, and these enzymes that are doing this. And I bet when he saw me speak in Ocean City, I probably wasn't talking about incubating the shakes then, because I'm not sure I even knew about it at that time.
Oh, no, you mentioned it then.
Did I? Okay.
Yeah. But
I get confused.
The ionics 3 times a day was
absolutely critical for inflammation, and that's
he hadn't even cleansed, and he already had mobility starting in his shoulder after just ionics 3 times a day.
I love it. I love it. Well, tell him hello and thank him again for his service for me. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm just that thrills me when I hear those kind of stories. And again, to repeat myself, which I've probably done several times on this call tonight, I'm just saying, I know that people, I've heard it from stage, you don't want to be a cleansing coach, but I'm going to tell you, you got to know a little bit more than probably what they're saying you need to know, because you're leaving so much potential on the table by not being able to explain these things to people. Buy my books. It's all in my books, for crying out loud. I mean, I'm no smarter than any of you. As a matter of fact, I'm probably dumber because of the fact I became this neurotic nerd researcher, understanding that I didn't know anything. And it became such a passion for me to learn because that knowledge was transforming lives, like your husband. I can't tell you how great that feels. I mean, it's unbelievable. I call that the psychic income, psychic. So, and I didn't obviously know about the addiction piece, et cetera, because a lot of people, they're doing 24 hours. You can do that. There's a little bit of benefit, but that real benefit as far as addiction is in that second 24 hours. So anybody else?
Peter, I just want to say something. It's Robin. And you guys, Peter was there when I was first enrolled with Isogenics 12 years ago. Peter, I hit 15,000 team members today.
Congratulations. Oh my God. And you started with 1.
Because of this amazing team. It's been an amazing day.
And I want to do more to support you guys. And like I said, the thing about me is that one of the things that inspires me is that when people take my research and they use it to impact and change other people's lives. Because it's all about the knowledge. It really is. You can't name another business where results aren't the reason that you do it. Whether it's an Apple computer, whether it's a car you bought, the stereo, the tooth, I don't care what it is. Without results, you don't have a business. We have these unbelievable results. You've got clinical studies. It's not that hard to like, oh, yeah, we got this stuff, right? Oh, you want to argue Shakeology with me? Probably not. I'll take that challenge any day, Adam, any day. So is that it, everyone? Is that it? My 10-minute call?
I'll tell you what, Peter, we can't thank you enough. I mean, I messaged Peter probably like 5 p.m., 6 p.m. Eastern time and said, hey, man, we're doing our team call tonight. It'd be cool if you just hop on and say hello. We'll see you next time. But, man, Peter, you are always the most gracious host, coming, willing to travel long distances.
This is what you guys have done. It's an amazing team, and I'm proud to, share my knowledge with all of you. And here's the thing that I would tell everyone in this call tonight. When I come back, we better have a full house. Shame on you. Yeah. Shame on you, unless you don't think this information's valuable, right?
Right on, man.
And you understand, I wasn't even doing my lecture on toxins and all that other stuff tonight. I just sort of, it was really to fill in the blanks in terms of, why is this stuff so unique? And I really look forward to it. And, as long as, the old saying, if you build it, I'll come.
Excellent.
All right. So have a great night, everybody. I hope it was inspirational, useful, whatever. And, really just invite you to help me. I can't do it by myself, to change the world. That's my big vision, my big goal. So good night, everybody. Have a wonderful time. And hopefully I'll be seeing you all. Hopefully we're not going to have tornadoes in September. So you never know. But other than that, I'll be there. Okay.
Excellent. Thank you, Peter.
All right. Good night.
Good night,
everyone.
Thanks, Peter. Awesome job. Thank you so much.
All right.
Peter.
Bye, everyone. Bye-bye. Bye.
Thank you.
All right, you guys, just a little bit of housekeeping. We just have a couple things that we need to go over. That was awesome, Adam.
Was that awesome or what, guys?
We're the luckiest team. We
hit record around 5 minutes into his, maybe less than 5 minutes into his talk, so we'll post it.